I'm also joined now. I want to get an international perspective by Chris Blackburn. He's a very well-regarded international affairs commentator who joins me now. Chris, good to have you. Right off the bat, what are you making of India's most visible decision right now to halt all visas in Canada?
Well, I think what we're seeing is a decline in Indian-Canada relations. I think it started with Justin Trudeau's announcement in the Canadian Parliament, where he said he had credible allegations against India. I think the Canadians need to provide facts. Overnight, we saw the killing of another Khalistani in Canada due to gang-related warfare. So we know that Canada's got a problem. How India is now responding to that problem, and effectively, I think that these visa announcements show that India and Hindus in Canada are really concerned about their security. So I think we will be starting to see tit-for-tat diplomatic exchanges between the two nations. But I've studied the issue for the last 20 years, and Canada drags its feet on horrendous things that happen in the Indian subcontinent. It's not just Khalistanis. We've seen in Bangladesh, the killers of Bangabandhu, the founder of Bangladesh, are still in Canada, and the Canadians have refused to do anything about it.
Very true, Chris. They've dragged their feet on many different international issues. Speaking about India and Canada, the two sides don't appear to be in a mood, to dial things down and to cool tempers, at least for the moment. In your view, how much worse do you think this could get?
Well, I think if you look, it's not just Justin Trudeau and the people who are around him in politics who support the Khalistani issue. The Canadian security agencies were humiliated by a government inquiry in 2010, which was into the Air India 182 event, one of the biggest terrorist incidents that we saw before 9/11. So I think what we're going to see is a rapid decline, but there's many factors that are involved in this current spat. And I think if justice prevails, India will come out on top of it.
We do know that Justin Trudeau has been trying to drum up support against India, before the G20 summit and probably after as well, Chris. Do you think the United States will, in some measure, need to sort of step in to cool things down, because the United States has a very close relationship with India?
Yes, I think a lot of countries are looking at the broader horizon, and India is a star on the world stage now, and the global powers need India's help, especially in countering China in the South Pacific and other areas. So I think nations such as the United States, UK, and others, and Australia as well, members of the Quad, I think Japan will also play a role in this. We'll try to talk back Canada, ask them for proof. And if they don't provide it, I think this will be a major sort of faux pas and could probably see the end of Justin Trudeau's career in Canada.
Because it looks to most people like Trudeau has painted himself into a corner, because since then it's been a non-stop series of escalations for, 48 hours now, Chris? In your view, what's the way back from this? Who needs to take that first step, and what is the way back from this?
Well, I think unless Canada have actual hard evidence, I think what we're going to see is an escalation, because India has a real concrete case against Canada for refusing and dragging its feet on the Khalistan issue. So I don't think it'll get resolved anytime soon. If anything, I think it will progressively get worse, and it will even get worse. Say the Canadians do have some form of evidence, we're likely to see this thing drag on for the next sort of 6 months to a year, possibly even longer.
Final question, Chris, is the sense of disbelief and a total breakdown of trust in the common Indian mind, looking at how Canada has simply refused over the years to take any action against Khalistani elements, including those who now call for the murder of Indian officials, Indian diplomats, want Indians to leave Canada. In your view, why is Canada not taking action? Is there a reason beyond the obvious political vote bank reasons?
Well, I think, as I've said, I think there are multiple factors at work here. I think Justin Trudeau is playing a vote bank politics. We know that some of his close sort of friends and allies and ministers support Khalistan in Canada, so that he's in a difficult position. But then we've also got the Canadian security services. This the whole Khalistan issue for the last sort of 30 years plus has been an embarrassment for the Canadian security agencies. So I would hope that Canada changes its position, is more proactive on the Khalistan issue. But with Justin Trudeau in power, we've seen that he's willing to dig in his feet. He's willing to drag this thing out. So I think there won't be any real changes soon, especially on the political front, as his numbers are beginning to sort of tank in the polls. I think Justin Trudeau has made the decision and calculated that he thinks this can be a win issue for him. So I think it's going to be very difficult moving forward.
We'll have to see where it goes. It's a fluid, unfolding situation. Are things going to be dialed down? Are things going to escalate even further? The only thing we can do is wait and watch and prepare our viewers for whatever uncertainty lies ahead. Chris Blackburn, always a pleasure. Thanks so much for your time here on India Today.